One of Hampden County's most popular walking, hiking, and biking locales may very well be on its way to permanent protection status. This means that if the transaction between West Springfield, the Department of Conservation and Recreation, and Mass Audubon goes through, the land will never be developed on. Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan traveled to the Bear Hole Reservoir to bring us this next story.
There's a road in West Springfield that since late March of 2020 has seen such an increase in traffic that signs like these have begun to dot the lawn landscapes up and down the street, hopefully deterring visitors from treating their neighborhood like the local racetrack. The destination is the parking area at Bear Hole Reservoir, and on any given Saturday or Sunday, bikers and walkers, many with their four-legged friends, can be found taking to the trails that twist and turn through one of the largest swaths of unprotected open space in the Connecticut River Valley. But while the number of visitors may be up above normal lately, folks simply enjoying all that the Bear Hole landscape has to offer is nothing new for locals.
I grew up really basically across the street from Bear Hole, and so as kids we used to play back here, we used to ride our bikes back here. I mean, that's what really turned me on to all the trails, is just taking it right up. There's a couple trails that lead up right from where I grew up and lead right into here, so our friends were back here all the time.
It's a location rich with history, some dating back to the 1800s, like this old fireplace. This is all that remains of a once exclusive resort where a select few locals were able to escape as a means of getting away from the city. This reservoir, however, represents some of the more recent history. No longer providing water for area residents, the pump station and the slow sand filter beds to its left and right stand vacated and unused. Now it's a starting point for taking the dog for a walk or ripping through the woods on a mountain bike. But since the property no longer falls under the heading of protected water use lands, it becomes vulnerable to development. That is, unless West Springfield were to sell what is called a permanent conservation restriction on the land. That deal is currently in the works with Mass Audubon and the Department of Conservation and Recreation.
All we're selling is really an easement over the land, so we're selling off our rights to ever develop it, basically. We're saying to Audubon and DCR, in exchange for $1 million, we promise never to build on this land, never to sell it off or section it up or cut it away, and we're going to do that with a contract.
In return, the DCR and Mass Audubon will receive the miles of trails and everything else that lives within the property's perimeters: plant, fish, mammal, bird, amphibian, and insect. What happens with the trails, though, regarding additions and subtractions, remains to be seen, and this is a concern for many in the cycling community. But for now, the scenery remains intact. This includes flowing water that cascades over rocks in a downward trajectory. And while during our visit that flow is only a fraction of what it normally is, any waterfall is always a big attraction, especially with me. It may feel a bit removed from the modern world out here, but the truth is, we're actually within striking distance of some of the more urbanized areas of Holyoke, Springfield, and West Springfield, as well as a pair of major highways. But within the confines of these 1,500 acres, I'm still more likely to come across a greater number of plant and animal species than I am of human beings. And the plan is to keep it that way in perpetuity. Maintaining that barrier between the urban world and the deep woods, while making sure that all who want to enjoy its splendors are welcome to visit, is a challenge that Mass Audubon and the DCR did not want to pass up.
The Bear Hole is the single most important opportunity to mix both of those, protecting a very large tract of very important land, highly biodiverse land, 1,500 acres of land, in really close proximity to hundreds of thousands of people. That's something we really just don't see. I don't know of another opportunity like it in Massachusetts.